browse and really quite nice. If you're into antique things.
Good, how are you?
Hello. Yeah. I'm still chilly. That's because our geo.
I want this to be exciting, but not too exciting.
There's really not a
The heat
whole lot
pump
of
that's
storage.
sitting there. You're going to the hotel room to do it. It's not. I'm in a sauna.
I'm gonna check out, and he was in there for my first recommendation, I shared with him the one I gave him already. Like, great.
So, you're gonna get away from this?
We moved into here tomorrow, and that's why you have a little bit
I heard them.
You know what's funny? I measured this out, and decided I was 8 shells to come over after I changed my mind again today. And only 6 shells. So the marks on the floor, you can absolutely not be surprised.
This is
So.
gonna be.
Oh, okay.
We're in the house. Back and go.
Beautiful.
This is so
I am trying to do it.
Okay.
Preserve
Thank you.
the storage.
You bet.
Old. 20 years. And that would be retirement. We should be looking at 3 years. I want to enjoy retail. It's almost 7 years older than me, so. And he's definitely not going to take the returns.
Talk to Kenyon or talk to Ross about character generator. So we've heard.
Hard work for a guy.
Cable guy, he's the cable guy.
He'll do
Hollywood, is
maybe
that?
write that book by me. Yeah?
Yeah.
You could write a sequel, I think. Long after.
I just caught it. But not with Democrats.
That's right. Yes.
Start the city council meeting for December the 10th, 2019. We'll recite the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call to order. Councilman Tom Guard, Dan Rich, John Mortensen. Medical leave is Richard Nielsen. Mayor Henke is here. City Administrator Mark Besson. City Engineer Joe Ryan. City Attorney Scott Riggs. Everybody's here. So, is there anything to change on our citizens' comments? Anything on citizens' comments? Not, we'll move on. Adopt the agenda. Is there anything changes on that?
I'll move we approve the agenda.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, consent agenda and approval of minutes and appointments.
I move we accept the consent agenda.
Second?
Okay, there's been a motion made, consent agenda and approval of the minutes and appointments. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes passed. Okay, we're moving right along here. We're really fast, we're only in 3 minutes. Presentations, public hearings, recognitions, and proclamations. Is there anything on that? No. Nothing on that either, okay. Well, we're moving right along then. We're going to engineering. And the first one on there will be 2nd Street sanitary sewer improvements.
Thank you, Mayor. We'll try and keep this short. In your packet is a pay request for the 2nd Street sanitary sewer improvement project. The work was essentially completed as of our last pay request. The only thing that's new on this pay request is some pavement markings that they put down at a value of about $400. So really, Derek, you have some information that you put in the update about mercury testing, and you may want to share that news with the council with things positive outcome.
Sure, yeah. Prior to, well, basically a couple of years now, when we started doing some of the mercury concentration testing, when we were trying to find that high concentration hot spot within town, we have found this stretch of sewer within 2nd Street that high concentration of mercury. The readings that we had gotten at that time were in the 300 to 400 nanograms per liter. This unit for that one. Shortly after we had completed the lining with this 2nd Street sewer project, Wayne ran another test, and I was informed that that test came back at like 43 nanograms per liter. So that's a significant drop. That's good. It's a very good thing. Ultimately, the only thing that the MPCA cares about is what the concentration of the wastewater is at the wastewater plant. So we're currently in the process of getting that final testing, but all in all, it looks good. So that was good to see.
Question. We went from 300 and whatever down to 43.3, which is, it says here, a substantial drop. What's normal? What do you look for? 50, 10?
So the limit at the plant as an average is 10. So that's still over, but you've got to take into account that that gets mixed with all the other wastewater that comes into town, or that comes throughout town. So you might find in some newer residential areas that it's essentially 0. In older areas such as this, it wouldn't be super uncommon for it to be a little bit higher. There may be some other sources that we haven't quite identified yet, but in terms of what's a normal number, it really depends on the area. This isn't overly high. Maybe it's a little bit higher than what you would like to see, but I wouldn't see this as a reason why you'd be over the limit.
Councilmember Gard, just for a little context, and Dan, you might need context too, is, you've got, because you own and operate your own wastewater system, you have to get permitted by the MPCA for that. And it's a 5-year permit cycle, so every 5 years they have to renew that permit. And they're constantly, they're setting parameters that we have to function within. And one of the items that has come up over the last few cycles is mercury. That's now an item that they're tracking and monitoring. And they had told us a couple cycles ago that it was something that was going to be a target. And when your permit got renewed in 2015, they said, in your 2020 renewal, in February 2020, you're going to have a hard limit of 10. So you need to, work with yourself, manage yourself, so you can get consistently below that limit of 10 on the water that's leaving your plant. So, whatever it is coming in, whatever concentrations, either between lowering those concentrations or improving your processes, get below 10. And so we started a couple years ago, taking measurements all over town just to see where things were. Well, this one block of 2nd Street was very high readings, up in the 300 to 400 range. And what we did do some research, there were 2 old dentist offices there. And the old mercury fillings, that is a source, a high source of mercury in wastewater streams. And so that's why this particular project was developed to target that block to try and get that down. Even with those readings up in the 300 to 400 range, from month to month, the plant was, sometimes the effluent, the discharge was reading 15, so it was above the limit, sometimes it was reading 8 or 9, so it was below the limit, it would bounce around. But we need to be able to consistently show what's below that limit of 10. And so the indication that before the project, we were getting readings of 300 to 400 there, and now the first reading we took after the project, it's down to less than 45. That means that this project is doing what we had hoped it would do, and really cutting down the impact of that hotspot in the city. And Derek is right, as that wastewater flows through the system, gets mingled with everything else and diluted, and then goes through the treatment plant, it should hopefully allow us to show that we're consistently below that limit of 10 by February, so that we won't have any complications in getting the permit renewal.
So nothing is guaranteed until we have, good consistent results over time, but from what we're seeing right now, it looks like.
Very positive indicator, yeah. So the only action tonight would be the consideration of that pay request, and the payment to the contractor would be $400.95. Contract is still open, we still do have to finalize and do all the final paperwork and all the final, settling of things, but this is the action for tonight would be this partial pay request in the amount of $400.95.
And this is the final payment?
This is not.
Okay, there's, yeah.
Correct. There's still, yeah, we're still holding retainage.
Yeah,
Yeah, and so the project is not closed out at this point.
okay.
So,
I'll move approval of the pay request of $400.95.
I'll second that.
Okay, there's been a motion made and seconded for pay request number 4 for raw construction, $400.95. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, ayes passed.
So just looking at this, Joe, the liquidated damages so far are about a little over 34,000.
yes. Yeah, and the calculation of those is included with the pay request in the packet, so you can see how those have been determined.
So, the deal with the liquidated damages will be that in January, at the January council meeting, we will come back with a number, if that's the right way to describe this. And so right now, we just started kind of this process where the contractor says, this is what they feel they should be. Now Scott's gonna review that, and then we're gonna get back to them. So in January, we'll come back with, I don't know if any of you have dealt, like Dan, if you've dealt with liquidated damages, but liquidated damages are basically not, how do you put this, Scott? Maybe can you?
Yeah, I mean, it's an estimate of what the city's damages would be if there's a delay or an issue that relates to the project itself. It's not a perfect scenario, it's not a penalty either, but it's an estimate when the contract is undertaken to show that if there's a 5-day delay, the damages we're saying daily are X, and that's the amount that was in the contract. So once that happens, and Mark's correct, we'll analyze, we'll see what it is, we know what the number's calculated at right now. But there likely will be a recommended number coming from the city engineer, the city attorney, and the city administrator that says, this is a good number, it's a hard number, and it's best to settle at that amount rather than taking it through litigation or something like that. So that's what you'll see in January.
Yeah, so what you're seeing right now, that 34,000 is the theoretical maximum amount.
Okay,
See, that's the max.
Yeah.
That's the theoretical maximum that's been calculated. The actual number that comes in January, as Mark said, after we come to terms, will probably be somewhere lower than that number.
I think we had something like that on First Street, or which one was it, or something? First Street, I think it was.
Wasn't first.
No, well, the last time we had liquidated damages was raw construction,
Yeah.
and it was
Yeah.
3rd Street, back in 13 or 14.
Okay, that's what it is.
And that was the same deal, that
Yeah.
was, it's like a negotiated kind of deal. In fact, we had to go to mediation with that because
Yeah.
we didn't agree, the council didn't agree with the number. So it's just, I guess the best way to look at liquidated damages in a contract is it's the maximum daily amount of damages that we would claim against a contractor if they're late. But contractors, through much case law, kind of have this system now set up that basically, we have to have, I mean, they give us a number and say, we feel this is reasonable, and then the city would come back with a number, and it's got to be kind of based on, what the city engineer feels, for instance, if there's weather delays, you have to kind of back that out. We didn't really so much, I don't think, have weather delays in conjunction with this, but it's never the maximum. I mean, I've never heard of a case
No,
of,
I have never seen it be that amount when you calculate it under what the contract says. So let's be honest, be prepared for that. But we'll analyze, we'll look at it. We'll look at what is a reasonable estimate of the damages related to the city suffered in this case, and that's likely what we'll try to get. Tell them.
And so as I said, yeah, what's calculated here is the maximum theoretical per the contract, and that amount is being withheld. So right now, it's still in, the money is in the city's bank. It hasn't none of it's been released to the contractor. But he is aware of the schedule, and he's seen these numbers, he's seen where it kept them, he's signed off on the pay request, so he knows what bid damages are something that need to be resolved. And so the communication's already going on, but we're confident, we're optimistic that, a reasonable amount can be agreed upon, and then with the intent is to bring that back in January.
Has he, there was fill put in. Has that already been figured in, or is that gonna, how?
That was taken care of, that was a change order. That was,
What was the question?
about the subgrade correction.
Yeah, subgrade,
Oh, yeah, he was already paid. for
that was already taken care of then?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is a,
Okay, very good.
This is a separate issue. Primarily to do with the delay in the actual installation of the slip line in the pipe itself.
Yeah.
They had a subcontractor who had some scheduling difficulties and didn't get out here in a timely fashion.
John, you get your question answered?
Yep.
Anybody else? Okay, move on.
Okay, the next two are the updates on work that we've currently got in progress, Red Wing Avenue and on the EDA Business Park. So Derek, I think I'll let you go ahead since you're managing the Red Wing project and you're overseeing that design, so.
Sure.
Why don't you give me an update on that?
Yeah, so this one's really more of a quick update. As far as our progress on the preparation of the construction plans, we're about 50% complete, which is about right on track with what we were projecting. I haven't seen any major changes or anything up to this point. In the past few weeks, we held a utility design meeting, which is a meeting that we normally invite gas provider, any communications, utility providers, as well as the city, Wayne and Randy, to come in and talk about any known utility conflicts. So we've had that meeting. Again, didn't find anything super substantial that was really project changing that's coming out of it. So as we move forward here, we're just continuing to put together those construction plans. In late January, I believe, it's going to be after the next council meeting. We're hoping to have plans near complete, around the 90% completion level, and then we would be ready to hold another neighborhood meeting with people to let them know, okay, here's the details of what we have put together. If people have questions on how much we're going to be affecting their front yard, or how steep their driveway is going to be, what exactly we're planning on doing, that's going to be their opportunity to do that. So that's kind of where we're heading towards right now.
And our opportunity to get that final feedback so that as we do the final 10% of the design, if there's anything that is brought to our attention in that last neighborhood meeting that we want to tweak the design to accommodate, that's our opportunity to do that as well.
Yep.
question. I seen here where you have fiber optic cable essentially be buried when you have the serial dug up and such. So is MediaCom or cable companies, were they invited to this, and does it make any sense to bury cable?
Yeah, so basically all the utility providers that have utilities somewhere fairly close to the project area are invited in.
Okay.
So in this case, not everyone shows up to these things, first of all. But two of them did, and realistically the two that are going to have the biggest impact. Right now, there's not a whole lot of gas lines that are within the corridor, but the gas provider, Minnesota Resources, is planning on replacing a bunch of their pipelines, since they know that we're already going to have the street dug up anyway.
At their cost?
At their cost.
Okay.
Completely outside the city. This is just that'll be their deal. There will be, Frontier Communications will also be doing some relocations or extensions of their utilities. It just happened to be that they're doing it at the same time as our project. They weren't necessarily planning around the Redland project, but everyone's invited in. Realistically, a lot of these utilities are installed with trenchless methods, so you don't have to dig up a large amount of the street anyway, but it is more convenient for them.
Any other questions on the Red Wing Avenue project?
Anybody?
So Derek, we would probably be targeting the February council meeting, it sounds like, for the consideration of the plan approval by the
Yes.
council.
Yep.
Which would then put us probably for a bid opening in March, which would be right in line for being ready to break ground when construction is ready to start in late May, plus or minus June 1st. Usually road restrictions from MnDOT come off around at May 15 timeframe, so that's when the contractors can start moving their equipment around and getting ready to start working that second half of May. So we're right on track.
Didn't at that open house, wasn't there an issue that came up, and we said we were gonna probably look at February would be a good time for them to come in? I can't remember, was it driveway? Was it some driveway work that was gonna be done for
Yeah,
somebody?
there were a couple of questions, people wondering about, there's a couple driveways on that project that are extremely steep right now.
Yeah.
So what we told them is, okay, when we come back in January during this open house meeting, we'll actually have those details and we can tell them exactly what, according to our plans, this is what your driveway slope is, here's what your old one is.
Yep.
Here's how we're trying to make.
So you got their contact information?
Yeah, so basically, everyone on the project is gonna be contacted for that. We'll send out the notifications, and they'll have the opportunity to come in. If they can't make it, they can get a hold of me directly.
Sounds good.
Anything else? Okay, Scott? Okay, how about
Yeah.
Kenyon Business Park?
Kenyon Business Park, yes. That one is heading right on track too, working on planning documents. Those are nearing completion. The first step, when they are complete, would be to go to the planning commission first, and then after the planning commission, then they come to the city council. So everything is on track, no real changes to talk about from what we reviewed with you before, but the big things we still need to get from the city, the input is the name, both for the overall subdivision and then for the public street within the. We had a little bit of discussion about that last month. I think, we're just gonna go back and think on it again, and we just wanted to see if there was any consensus or conclusions reached on those names.
Well, I had mentioned at last meeting, let it as Kenyon Business Park, which I think probably is agreed with everybody on that. And also the main street that we're looking at was Mayor Engel. Had a lot to do with this, and I think that would be one way of honoring him by naming that particular main street after Mayor Mike Engel.
So you think Mike Engel Drive?
Yeah.
Or Mayor Mike Engel?
Just Engel.
Just Engel.
Engel Drive.
We don't want it to get,
Yeah.
I know like the capital, I think, is the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King
Yeah.
Jr. Boulevard.
No,
It's a-
we don't need
Man,
that.
holy cow.
Thank God this is one of
I know.
Okay, Eagle Drive sounds good.
We can be counterproductive here.
Yeah,
I think
Engel Drive.
I think we can get the point across.
Need a motion for that?
And you wanna go drive as opposed to avenue?
Seems to.
Yeah.
Mike
Just
Engel
sound
Drive.
It really does, it sounds.
Engel Drive.
Yeah.
Engel Street doesn't work.
We can check the subdivision ordinance too to make sure there's not some requirement for, the north-south versus the east-west.
I've went through
So-
it, there really isn't anything, I mean, it just reverts to, how the existing streets are named, and really the existing ones, there isn't really a rhyme or reason.
There's no
As far as
consensus here.
avenues or streets or anything like that. So you should be able to do basically what you want.
And
There isn't any other streets that I'm aware of that sound like Engel Drive or anything like that, that can be used over the phone.
That'd be the only drive in town.
What is the one in Trenton?
Trenton Road.
Trenton Road,
No, one,
Scogan Drive,
the
Scogan
one
Lane.
going west off of Is it Englewood Drive?
Englewood, yeah, is that Drive? No, Englewood Drive, anybody that would know is not here, it's kind of.
It is Drive.
It's
We
Drive.
usually don't have no problem getting it.
Englewood Drive?
Oh, find it on there.
Yeah, I believe it, I think it is Englewood Drive.
Englewood Drive?
A-N-G.
Angle?
Angle.
Yeah.
Horn
See
Run,
that? Englewood.
yeah, there's Buckshot.
Yeah.
I was just kinda curious, because the drive doesn't matter.
Northwoods Drive.
Northridge Drive.
Angle Avenue is kind of nice, but Angle Drive is just as easy. Either one of those two works for me. And then Kenyon Business Park, I think, is real good, I agree with that completely.
What do you need,
Englewood Drive, that's the road that comes up the number, Englewood with an A.
Angle? This will be E-N-G.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be concerned, I mean, Englewood and Angle are, they're far enough apart. If you had like an angle, just angle itself, angle and angle, then I'd be concerned, but these are distinct enough that they're.
Now that you put it down. So Drive is okay.
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 Is
So,
everybody, I mean, that's a question.
I don't think we need a motion, the actual plat documents has to come back to you for
Yeah.
approval, and it'll have the name
That's
written
what you
on it.
approve it.
So that's when you'll formally approve the name.
okay.
So we'll go ahead and prepare it with Kenyon
Okay.
Business Park and Angle Drive.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll go with that then. All right.
I believe that's the end of our report for tonight.
You're off easy tonight. Okay, we'll start out with legal then. Kenyon Bar and Grill, on-premises charitable gambling license application. Merck Incorporated, is that what it is, Merck?
Merrick.
Merrick, right?
You have some representatives here from Eric. Wendy Bush, the gambling manager, and, sorry,
Yeah, John Wayne Barker.
John Wayne Barker.
Yeah.
Okay. From Merrick, so I don't know if you want to just give kind of a quick kind of summary of what you guys do, what areas you serve, or whatever you want to. Brief
Would the
introduction.
council prefer I sit in the chair or stand at the podium, and what's your preference? Podium?
Talk loud, that's, I don't care where you're at.
Well, I have to talk loud because I don't hear so good.
Well, that's why I say talk loud.
Want a microphone?
No, I don't think that's necessary. Mayor, city council members, city staff, good evening. My name is John Wayne Barker. I'm the executive director of Merrick Inc., which is a nonprofit 501c3 located in Vadnais Heights. With me tonight is our charitable gambling manager, Wendy Bush. And Merrick does charitable gambling principally in the metropolitan area. One of our business partners owns the Kenyon Bar and Grill and has asked if we would be interested in operating a charitable gambling site within that bar. And so the first step in the process is to have a conversation with the city council to see if that's something that's permitted and desirable before much action is taken. As a nonprofit, what we do, and we've handed out a packet here that you can look at your leisure, is provide life enrichment and employment options to 375 adults with intellectual or developmental disabilities, what used to be called mental retardation. And so we do that, again, through our Vadnais Heights and a site in North St. Paul. We employ about 110 professionals who deliver those day services to 375 clients, as well as about 60 people who manage our charitable gambling operations in the different sites in the metropolitan area. The funds that we earn from these operations are used to enhance the services we provide to clients. So some examples would be, we have 8 clients in our retirement program that enjoy going to the YMCA. And so we purchase the YMCA membership that allows those 8 clients to use that facility. We use funds for a pet therapist to come in and offer animal assistance activities with her Golden Doodle journey. We engaged a theater to come in and provide a 17-week theater experience with clients, excuse me, to discover their artistic abilities through theater. Music therapy is another example of how we use the funds. Horticulture therapy. So lots of the dollars are used for life enrichment activities that improve the quality of life for the individual with a disability. Some of it's also used to purchase capital equipment. And so an example of that is we do plastic recycling. We have 20 clients who every day with 4 clients and a staff member go out in a truck and they pick up plastic from different sites. They bring it back to our facility. We have 8 clients on site who bale that plastic. And then those bales are sent to trucks and they make outdoor decking. And right now, we're redirecting over 1 million pounds of plastic a year out of the landfills. That goes back into the manufacturing cycle. If you stacked up all 8 million pounds year to date, if you stacked them all up on top of each other, they'd go 2 miles into the sky or something like that. And that generates wages that those clients earn, and the baler is necessary to do this work is they cost $10,000 a piece, and our reimbursement from the state does not allow for that kind of purchase. And so we use the funds that charitable gambling generate to make those equipment purchasers, the trucks, the balers, the power jacks, the forklifts, those types of things that otherwise, without that activity, that operation couldn't happen. And so those are the 2 primary reasons, primary purposes for the funds is life enrichment or to support actual work opportunities for the clients we serve. And with that, I'll open it up to questions, anything we can answer. Wendy understands the minute details of the operation. I'm more of kind of the big picture person, I guess.
So what type of charitable gambling do you envision having going on down there? Is it just pull tabs or e-tabs or?
Yeah, one of the things we're going to do tonight after the meeting is we're going to go over there and look at the site. And just Wendy manages 22 sites right now, and so she has a pretty good understanding of kind of what would work in a particular location given the type of the facility and the population in the area, what it would support. So you have different options. You can have a full pull-tab booth, or you can have a bar operation. And with either of those, you can offer just e-tabs or just pull-tabs or both. So it's really unknown when you're going into a new site what it's going to support. Our thinking as we drove down was we would probably start with e-tabs to see if there's even much of an interest in charitable gambling. And if that was successful, then you might get into paper pull tabs, and you'd probably start off with a bar operation just because of its location to our operation. And then, again, if that proved to be successful, then you might get into a full booth. And some of it really has to do with, how the community accepts it. Do they see this as a positive to the business community? And it can have some benefits. We've got some cities that charge, we pay a 2 to 10% of our net profit to the city, and the city uses it for different purposes, some for fire equipment, some for police or other types of purposes that benefit the broader community can be generated through this kind of operation as well. Did I miss anything?
Do you have any questions?
Well, no, I'm just, would you agree with my thinking as far as how it would likely start?
I agree. The only difference is that the state of Minnesota does not allow electronic pull tabs unless you have paper pull tabs at a location. So I think you just reverse that. We would start off with one being the paper pull tabs, and electronics are always optional, but paper has to be there right now according to the state of Minnesota. So
She did have paper pull tabs, previous owner.
A previous owner had paper pull tabs?
Yeah.
I think it was out of machine, wasn't it?
Yeah,
It was like
it was
a
just out of the machine.
machine.
ever do bar bingo?
No.
So we appreciate the opportunity to be on the agenda and present a little information on this and kind of answer your questions. And it's really, the direction of the council at this point, whether this proceeds, and then we'll evaluate whether it makes sense for us and the bar to work together and bring it online. Okay?
Thank you. So the license requires the council to approve it. Let's see, my first comment on this is that, and Alex talked to me, and I think Wendy also talked to me about donating a portion to the, we'll say the fire department in this case. I would recommend to the council that they look at the 10% number, because this organization currently does not operate in, I don't think in Goodhue County, but in, in this area. So I think that because it's not local, I think that would, justify, that 10% number. And one question I had was, that 10% number, is that net or gross?
It's our net profit.
So it's 10% of your net profit.
So yeah, to be clear, we don't operate in Goodhue County, so you're correct. And net profit is exactly what it means. It's after all taxes, fees, expenses. So if we made $1,000 at the Kenyon Bar and Grill in January, 10% or $100 would be written in a check to the city of Kenyon.
And that's all your other sites, if that's...
Not all cities require or have a percentage paid.
But the ones that do, those are all net?
They are all net.
Okay.
There's a formatted sheet that most of them go by, and they're pretty similar.
Okay.
And that I could show you. But that's one way that a city looks at allowing, an outside organization to come in, benefit the city, and work with bar owners, so.
Okay. And so this is what Alex has requested as far as the charitable gambling license in his establishment, is this organization, so. So I don't know if there's any questions the council has with any of it, or.
Scott, any issues you see with?
No, not really. I mean, it's something that's operated before, so we've had experience with that. So, no, I don't really think there's an issue.
And 10% sounds fair?
We're happy to support the city with a 10% payment.
All right, well, with that, I'll move, we approve the on-premises charitable gambling license application with the stipulation that 10% be donated back to the city to be used for the fire department or other civic-minded needs, I guess, that we would have.
I'll second that.
Okay, a motion has been made, seconded for Kenyon Bar and Grill on premises charitable gambling license application. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
3, those opposed, 1 is aye. And the reason I'm saying that is I have nothing wrong with, I've talked to Alex on this, a little bit on it, and that, but we also have local right here that have gambling license to pull tabs and so forth, and they donated a tremendous amount of money back to the city in various ways, going to the fire department, also going to the muni, to the fire, or I should say to skating rink. There's various different places. And I feel that we should give them the opportunity to have first chance at it. Even though it is, Kenyon Bar and Grill has their right to whomever they have, and I certainly am not against it. But in my own conscience, I have to go with the local. So, you won. Good luck.
Well, And I respect your position on that, and we hope that we can prove to be a good partner, both to Alex and the city, and become considered local, and find ways that we can.
Well, I understand that on the local part, that's why I wrote, I just went with it because they're local, even though Kenyon Bar and Grill is also.
And Mark, Wendy's available to help with any forms or language or things that help formalize that 10% process so that they
Okay.
can get into place.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. Okay, moving right along, old business. I have a resolution, 2019-36. A resolution adopting the 2020 budget and establishing the tax levy for payable 2020. Can you do your thing with that, Mark?
Well, I don't know if there's any questions. I'm not gonna go back through unless there's any questions on budget. We went from 6.6 to 6.5. We were able to put cost of living back at 2.5%. So I mean, I think overall the budget is reasonable, all things being equal. So I guess our staff recommendation would be to go with the amounts in the resolution, 6.5, whatever the exact percentage is, 6.5% rounded.
6.5.
Yep.
Okay. I'll make the motion that we accept 2020 budget at 6.65%.
It's 6.5. Yeah.
6.5.
You're just gonna
Okay, I'm sorry.
the resolution.
I got it right here in front of me.
So you're just making a motion to approve resolution 2930.
Yes. Yes.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded to accept resolution 2019-36, adapting the 2020 budget and establishing a tax levy for payable 2020. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes win. Okay, new business. And that has to do with the painting and carpet replacement and library director, Michelle.
Good evening, gentlemen. So tomorrow is move day. We are here. Last Monday, December 2nd, we had a storage container sitting back here in our alley. And on the 3rd, we started boxing and moving. Everything's going really well. I think we're even ahead of schedule a little bit, which is great. Tomorrow morning, right away, we are going to start moving the items that we have not put in storage over here. We will have 2 public computers over here for public use. Wi-Fi will still work. And about 25% of our physical collection will be available in here. Hence the little tape marks all over the floor here. Had to do some measuring to see what will fit. I have IT coming from Selco in the morning at 9 o'clock to hook up our computers. Unfortunately, the way this building was wired, we cannot move our network. So we will have to be using the city's network. We have Jaguar Communications, this side of the building, and we still have MediaCom. So we will be using MediaCom for our internet provider during this time. It's just the only way that it's going to work. So we'll probably see a little bit of drag with extra computers on it, but it shouldn't be too noticeable. With only 1 staff computer and 2 public computers off that. Our Wi-Fi will actually still be running off of Jaguar Communications. So the network will be staying over there. Said, yeah, about 25% of our physical collection will be here. Tomorrow's our only closed day, so hopefully not too disruptive to the public. We're still getting delivery every day, so anything that we have in storage, we can always order in from another library. This is the slowest time of the year, and people are very busy, so we haven't had any complaints. People are really happy. We're excited about it. Shelving's coming apart great, finding some treasures, let me tell you, of things underneath. Lots of library cards from years past and all sorts of fun things. So it's been an experience. I've never moved a library, but it's great. We got a confirmation from Severson Painting that they are ahead of schedule as well. They're coming in Thursday already, and they think they'll be out here on Friday. So painting will be done. Carpet, through Emerson's, unfortunately, they got behind on a project, so they won't be able to get in until about Thursday or Friday of next week. To try and keep the project moving along, we're going to see how my carpentry skills are, and I'm going to start ripping out carpet next week to try to keep us on pace. So that is where we're at. I'll know more after tomorrow when we kind of get moved in here. I think we've been pretty good with communication, sharing it on social media. The Kenyon leader has done a wonderful job of getting the word out there as well. So any questions from any of you?
When are you ripping up carpet?
Next week, next Monday or Tuesday.
You want volunteers?
I would love volunteers. It's all, we'll see how the glue comes up off the back. So we might be scraping. But yeah, that is, I need to get the okay from Emerson because I don't, make sure that they don't have a certain way they want rolled or something. I will talk to Dave first. But yeah, I've ripped out carpet before. Why not? Let's do it. Try and stay on task.
When do you hope the project to be completed by?
We're hoping to be moving back right around the first of the year.
Okay.
I know you have a January council meeting, so I need to be out of this space. So that is our ultimate goal, to be out of here, by the second week of January for sure. But the way things are moving, I don't see that being an issue. So yeah, everything is moving really smoothly. You never know really on some of these projects just how it's going to go, but it's been going really well. Yeah. All right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Michelle.
Yeah, thank you for the update. Okay, moving along. Resolution 2019-37, a resolution committing capital fund balances.
All right, so this is an annual action by the council. So general accounting practices require that all public entities set year-end capital fund balances. The action is required before the end of the fiscal current year, contingent on the audited financial numbers. The resolution in the meeting packet should be adopted by the council before 12/31. The final year-end amounts are not known. Basically, they're audited numbers. So anyway, it's just kind of a more or less of a housekeeping thing. But what this does is it allows us to basically commit the capital fund balances at the end of the year, kind of that they're set and I guess in a way protected, but it's something that requires board or council action. So it's an unusual thing in that we don't know what the exact balances are, but the exact balances are based on, in other words, you're taking action on something that is based on 12/31. It's not 12/31 yet, so obviously you don't know the balances until 12/31. And the other thing is you have expenses come through in January for December that get credited back to December. So actually you don't know until, probably the end of January what the balances might be. So, anyway.
Mark, if we didn't do this, would all that money just revert to the general fund?
That's what I'm thinking.
Okay, so it's a way to protect.
Yes,
The
to
capital.
keep the money in capital that we put in the budget,
Yep.
it's supposed to be, you're right, exactly.
I will move approval of resolution number 29-37.
I just have one quick question. Does this one resolution take care of fire department and street?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I was gonna ask.
Yep.
Just one motion?
Yep.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion been made and second for resolution 2019-37, resolution committing capital fund balances. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, ayes pass. Okay, we got B, C, and D. Okay, number E is 2019 tobacco license renewals for Kenyon Market, River Country Co-op, which is Speedway, and Kenyon Municipal Liquor Store. We need a motion on that.
So you still have approval, transfer of fire department year-end remaining funds to capital?
I thought we were gonna do all
That's what I
three at
asked.
once. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So resolution 2019-37 is the capital fund balances for all the different funds. That's what I thought you were asking me, but that resolution is passed. Now you have to do another motion for the fire department year-end
Okay.
remaining funds to capital, and then the same for the street department. So there's actually 3 of them in a row.
Did you get that, Ally? Okay, you guys gotta back up a little bit here.
I move we approve the transfer of the fire department year-end remaining funds to the capital fund.
We'll second that one now. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, ayes pass. Next one is approval, transfer of street maintenance year-end remaining funds to capital funds.
The estimated amount of that one is $35,000. The fire was $17,500.
I'll move the transfer of the street maintenance funds to the capital fund.
We'll second it then. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, ayes pass. Now,
Now you're
got
at
her?
tobacco license.
Now we're back up to where we belong. Okay, 2019 tobacco license renewals, Kenyon Market, River Country Co-op, which is Speedway, and Kenyon Municipal Liquor Store.
I'll move approval.
I'll second that.
Okay. Motion been made and second for 2019 tobacco license renewals. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes pass. Okay, the chief is not here, but one side only parking on North Street. Chief has requested that parking be restricted to the north side of North Street between Oak Street and Red Wing. Due to the narrowness of the street, issues have occurred due to parking on both sides of the street. The GIS map shows proposed area of restricted parking is included in the meeting packet. Any changes to parking resolutions would require approval from the council. And that is a narrow street.
Correct.
I can see it.
There's only 2 houses on the north side.
This is permanent. Well, it can always be changed. I mean,
But it's just North Street, it's not Oak Street.
no, it's just North Street. That's
Oak
what it
just looks, Oak looks as skinny as North, I don't understand. But, okay.
I do hope this don't open up a can of worms that other people want. This, does this come through by the police department or the street department?
Well,
What's the
I think
request on
it came through
it? 'Cause I can see
first
plowing.
by the police department, but then it was run by Wayne. And Wayne doesn't have an issue with it being set up that way, and it would help with plowing and parking during the winter. I think maybe that's where this started last year. So they both have looked at it and, feel that it's justified because of the configuration, the width of the street, the way the houses are, whatever other factors go into it. But they've had issues with when people park on both sides of the street that it
Yeah,
becomes
it gets extremely
problematic,
tight.
so.
Have the homeowners been notified? That this
No,
is gonna
they have
happen?
not. And that's something we could do. We could table it and notify them.
I think they should have some input on this.
Okay.
Really sucked all of a sudden, no, you can't park in front of your house. What?
Well, it's just on one side, you can't.
Well, it's still in front of your house on your street. I think they should have some input before we put a vote to it.
We could certainly do that.
I mean, I understand it for snow removal and such like that, but, summertime,
Yeah.
it's not that busy a street, I would think.
Could we amend that somehow?
Well, yeah, you don't have to take any action on it. You can just tell us you'd like us to notify the property owner so we can send a letter and notify them that this is up, and then table, I mean, Scott, would it be better if they formally table it, or?
Yeah, that's fine. I mean,
Okay.
there's really no action you have to take unless you want to take action, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
The consensus is direct Mark and me to do that, to notify and see if there's any complaints. That's really probably sufficient.
Well, you know what you brought up, Tom, in the wintertime, I certainly can see, you know, it does get narrow regardless of all the streets, but in the summertime, I go that way quite often with my golf cart, and I don't really see a problem on that street to get by, I mean, even with the golf cart, but, summertime, I think it should be left. We could set up some kind of an ordinance, or let's say like, November through end of April or something of that sort.
Well, the other thing, Mayor, I think you hit on it is, we may need to have some sort of guideline or, you know, policy in place to do something like this, because, yeah, we might get people coming out of the woodwork saying, well, I don't want people parking on my street either.
Yeah.
And my street gets snow, and I don't,
Yeah.
you know, I prefer not to have people on my, you know, so I'm skeptical, just because of what, you know, not that this doesn't make sense, but just what it can lead to.
Splitting the season can get kind of confusing too.
What is the driving reason for this? I mean, yes, okay, it's a tight street, but what, safety vehicles? Are we talking lawnmowers? Are we talking semis? What?
No, I'm sure big rigs, not down
I know,
that
I'm
street.
being sarcastic, but I mean, what's driving
I think
this?
we need a more clear understanding.
Well, the thing is, if Lee was here, I think he could address this, but there must have been some emergency, he got called on, so in all fairness, yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna try to answer for his behalf, but we'll send a letter out to the people and tell them this will be, you know, on the January agenda, and then Lee and maybe Wayne will be here and they can talk about it also. Maybe we'll get some different reasons or whatever, so.
Okay. We can just pass on it.
Yeah, you don't need to really take any
Okay.
action.
Okay, we'll pass on that one.
Pass, or do we will contact the homeowners and then set this aside for now?
Yeah, that's probably in the minutes already, but we don't have to, you can table.
It doesn't have to be motion. Right?
Table, but you don't need to.
Okay.
We'll put it on the agenda for the January meeting. So.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Okay, next one on the list. Is everybody okay with?
Yep.
Have any questions? Okay, anybody? Approve job discrimination, or, sorry.
Start over.
Let's just eliminate that word out. Unauthorized hiring, part-time administration assistant. I'm sorry about that. Mark, I gather you're gonna be the one.
Yeah, this was talked about last year. It was included in the budget, but this is a position to provide some administrative assistance for the police department, but it would also assist KMU and some city functions. Probably somewhere in the 25 hours a week, I think is what we put in the budget between KMU and the police department. So the next step in this, in order to keep this rolling, is that the council would need to, I think, approve the job description because it's a new position, and then we're also asking that you authorize us to begin the process of, you know, advertising. And then it would come back to the council ultimately if a person is recommended by the personnel committee to be hired, so.
I remember when Lee talked about this, how much it would free up time for them from sending out reports to other agencies.
Exactly. And this discussion started with, I think Mayor, I think he brought up possibly hiring another full-time cop. And then Lee had come back at a subsequent meeting and said he would